Hello, and welcome to Theme Park Information. And in today's podcast, the second one we've done, very exciting stuff. We are going to continue the conversation about UK theme parks. This time, we're mainly going to be focusing on the ones we've missed out. So you've got ones like Oakwood, Drayton Manor, and Blackpool Pleasure Beach for ones we've been to. And then there are also a couple of other parks we haven't been to, which we're going to have like a brief discussion about. And if we have time, hopefully, like some future investments plans for UK parks in the future. So once again, I'm joined by Jake and I'm James. Do you want to get the ball rolling on this one, Jakey, with whichever park you'd like to start it with?
Well, yeah, let's start with Drayton Manor, since it's sort of near and dear to our hearts, sort of through through the ages and how we started off there. So it's Drayton Manor is one of those things that I have a lot of fond memories of going there and sort of going through like the sort of like Shockwave and the Buffalo Coaster and and Stormforce 10 and things like that, where I think a Maelstrom sort of thing and just all and like Apocalypse and these sort of ones, and I have such great memories of them. And just my only problem that I seem to get now is every time I go back there, I always go, oh, some of these feel very, very worn in, shall we say, sort of thing. I think there's definitely a lot of investment I think needs to go into that park, because I don't think it needs much in the sense of additions to the park. I think it just needs almost a real big bit of TLC and like a new ride or a couple of rides, if we're going to be frank on it. But I understand being a family-run park, it can't measure up to the likes of like Merlin and things like that for these type of ones. But yeah, but I still do enjoy it though. Like Stormforce 10 is still one of the best log flumes that there is. I think I really do, because especially if you've never been on it before, and its special party trick is just ace. It's just one of the best things, because I just didn't know about it when I first initially went on to there. So what about you? What did you enjoy about it?
Well, yeah, I will be honest. I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head on that one. They do actually have some really good rides, like the flat rides and water rides at the park are really good, really enjoyable.
Yeah.
They just don't have the greatest selection of coasters. I mean, Shockwave is nostalgic, but is generally just pretty average. And then I will be honest, thank God they've removed G-Force, because that was dreadful, truly dreadful. I mean, also I have fond memories of the old Klondike Mine Coaster, which was in its place, and that literally just seemed like a death trap. I'm not gonna lie, it seems so dangerous. So they did. It's like, but I'd have taken that over G-Force. But yeah, I completely agree. They've taken a lot of time, money, and effort with Thomasland and like the hotel, which are really nice if you've ever stayed in the hotel, for example. Really, really nice in there. And they do, as I said, have a good selection of water rides and thrill rides. Yeah. They do definitely now need another coaster, which is going to have to just fit into the most ridiculously small footprint ever, because G-Force was just such a just compact ride. And it's not the only. They have also got rid of a few really good rides in the past. I mean, I'm going to go back quite a few years with a ride they need to bring back. Interested to know if you remember it. But I'm pretty sure it was, I want to call it the Black Hole or something like that, right? I think is that the name of it, which is like an indoor waltzer, right at the back of the park, right near by Shockwave.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so good. That sort of ride needs to come back. It was almost like a hidden ride. That's what I love so much about it.
That if I could bring back one flat ride, and I almost think somewhere like where like Alton Towers is desperately needs flat rides. I honestly think that is such a winner for.
Yeah, it just had everything.
Yeah, because the thing is, for those type of nights as well, where obviously you do it during the day. It's awesome. It's obviously it's all darkened out. You get lots of great strobes and loads of just really good tunes that it used to play in there. And now it's like if you could do that again, and especially on like things like those sort of like the Fright Nights and all the Halloween stuff, I bet that would be incredible. You could really do some good, like some just because the thing is, it's not a waltz is not in comparison to most of the rides. It's not very expensive to do, and it's like I'm sure there's a bit of licensing that they need to do for music and all that, but it's not that much, especially compared to a lot of the licensing they do for other, sort of intellectual properties and things like that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think, that is definitely. Oh, that is it. Was it called Black Hole? I just couldn't. I
can't remember quite. Black Hole was the name which rang a bell, but I have a feeling it might be something else. That's what I think it was. I can't quite remember the name of it. I know exactly where it was in the park, what type of ride it is. I remember it being really fun. But obviously it has been like closed for like 10 years odd. So
I do wonder why they took that out. I wonder if there was any sort of...
I don't know, because I haven't done any research before doing the video.
No, but I'm just wondering in general why they do it. I'm sure it's said why on there, but it's just... Yeah, it's just there's those certain type of rides where they just seem to go, and I don't seem to think why, because you sort of think even if it was a mechanical issue, it's like if waltzes can happen at like the sort of fun fairs and things like that all the time, and they run pretty much all in the summer months, I can't see why they can't do it for in a theme park where it's going to be heavily maintained, sort of thing.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not sure the reason why it's not there anymore. So we're going to find out that it actually is there, and we've just like completely missed it for like the last few times we've been to Drayton Manor. The only other ride I want to take particular focus at, and you will appreciate it, is the old shooting, like the Klondike Gold Rusher shooter ride.
Yeah.
Name also completely elusive.
What was the old Golden Nugget?
Golden Nugget, that's it. Thank you. Oh my god, I hate that ride so much. Passionately hate it.
You're just bad at it, mate. That's all it is.
Well, when you're physically touching the target with the gun and it doesn't go off, I think the ride is somewhat to blame.
No, I don't know what you're on about. It's been updated now. I can't quite remember what it's called, but yeah. They've done a fantastic job with that as well, where they've just gone through, because that's really what I think they need to do as a park. They just need to maintain a few rides, sort of thing, just to sort of give it that bit TLC that it needs, and just I know it's easier said than done just to say, oh, just put in a roller coaster, but it's like I think that especially where they've got rid of G-Force now, which is a fantastic idea.
Oh, the decision to get rid of that utter piece of rubbish, for want of a better word. There are certain other words to use to describe it, but I love my review on it where it's like literally just listing through the list, like the bad stuff about it, and there's so little redeeming qualities for it. So little.
No, and this is the thing. I think Shockwave really could do with some new trains as well. They feel very, very, very dated, shall we say, sort of thing. They look nearly janky, almost, sort of thing. But and it is incredibly short in length as well, sort of thing. I mean,
nothing quite beats shadow drop, vertical loop, 0G roll, I think, corkscrew, turn.
Yeah.
Brake run.
Yeah.
And the brakes on it are so abrupt as well. Yeah. that how that's never been changed, I don't know, but it's just like it's a park which could be so much better with a tiny bit of money being spent on it. I mean, in fairness, we're probably going to say this about most parks, and it will probably be true. It's like if you spend money on park, it's going to naturally get better. And they've got a good amount of stuff already. Like Stormforce 10 is pretty ace. Maelstrom is amazing.
Yes.
Apocalypse is really good. So
for flat rides, they. Ooh, am I going to say it? Am I going to say that they've got probably the best flat rides in the UK?
Oh, that is a potential shout. I mean,
especially when you have that black hole in there as well, sort of thing.
So well, in 2010, 2009 they did, yeah.
Because I'm honestly struggling to think where else has better flat rides as a whole, sort of thing. Because Maelstrom is probably the best frisbee. Is it what they call frisbee? Pendulum.
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
ride.
Go pendulum. That's fine. Yeah. We'll go with
that. Yeah. But I'd definitely argue that it's probably the best one in the UK that I've been on. But
yeah, I mean it doesn't compare necessarily to the massive ones in the US.
Like no, but for the UK, it's incredible. I think they've got a brilliant thing. I still think Apocalypse is very, very impressive even now to go on, sort of thing. It does feel that the theming is a little bit dated. I appreciate that sort of thing, but as a whole, I still think it's a fantastic ride. Like I said,
it was the what record did it break? It was either the first week in stand up or stand up flawless on it, and that was such a terrifying jump at the time. It was like, whoa, painful memories.
I'm trying to think. Have I actually been on it? Stand up flawless.
I think we have. Yeah, I definitely have, and I think we went.
I know you definitely have. I'm not sure if I have or not. Don't know.
Got to write that.
Yes, sorry. No, I do remember. No, I did. I have. I've been on it once. Because to be fair, the amount of times I've been on it since that side of it have been under maintenance, sort of thing, or something like that. So you could only do it seated. So, alas.
Yeah, really, really good ride though. So it's just a shame because it's such a good park. If they just built if you took, I mean, it's going to be the part we're probably going to talk about in a sec, but Oakwood. But if you swapped the roller coasters of Oakwood and Greater Manor around, what a park it would be then!
Oh,
it would be so much better.
Definitely. Well, if we're going to talk about Oakwood, let's jump over. I think.
Yeah. We can head over to Wales for a little bit.
Yeah, Oakwood is one of those ones that it was just not on a radar. For me, I didn't realise how good of a park Oakwood is. I really do think it's something that. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not one of those. I wouldn't say it's a bucket list type of park, but I think it does pack a punch for what a sort of small family-run park that it is. It's got a really nice atmosphere about it. It's very. I don't know. It just felt fun. It was just fun the whole day that we were there. It was just brilliant. I think and all the rides that were there are very, very different from any theme park that I've been to. Actually, thinking about it, but obviously, yes, they've got a wooden roller coaster, which is a fantastic. It's just a fantastic, traditional wooden roller coaster. It's just got all the right shaking and bumping that you love in it. But then you've got something a little bit newer with is it No Limit? Is it No Limit or is it Speed? I can't remember.
Speed the Ride.
Speed the Ride, that's it. Yeah. Which that was fantastic ride there. But then you got you went on it. I can't even remember why I didn't go on it in the end, sort of thing.
I think it was it's because we were about to head back after going on Drench / Hydro. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go on it. It's a really fun ride. The drop on it is pretty steep. Obviously, you do get pretty soaked because it does drop you straight into water. So it was just like a case of you decided you didn't. I think we were going to go home like shortly after going on it. So you were like, I don't want to be wet in the car. So, which is very fair enough. Get it. Yeah. But it's good fun. Yeah. I mean, also, I think they had like the bounce, which is like the drop tower they have there, which is usually really good fun, but wasn't open. But then they also have classics like Snake River Falls and stuff like that. And is it Waterfall? Like the one where you just effectively just on a little bit like a sled and just slide down and just aquaplane across like the pool, like the small, and if you lean back, you're gone and you're going to get an absolute soaking. Oh, and don't forget, of course, the little bobsleigh. Does that? I don't know if that would count as a coaster, but it's such fun. Like,
I personally don't count.
No, I've never counted it, but oh my god, it's so fun. Unless you wipe out, then it's not fun. Don't do that.
I mean, it was just one of those things that you just, for me, just no break until the end.
Yeah, I tried that, by the way, on like the last run we had on it, and like I was absolutely hurtling down, and then like I think the third corner on the lap, I almost went flying off. I was just going so fast. I was like, literally, it was like, like the leg had to come out to like support. Otherwise, I'd have probably inverted, just slid down on my face. Probably not the best option for riding, but it's a really good fun ride. It just fits the park so well, and they have a lot of those kind of quirky, interesting rides. It is actually a little bit similar to Drayton Manor in some ways. It's just like a really nice park to be in, and obviously we did for one of the first times one of the like the sky coasters like in Vertigo, and that was pretty damn sweet as well. Really appreciated that. It's a good park to do that in, actually, in fairness.
Yeah,
definitely. But really cool park, even it is in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
That it's its own downfall, but I think and anyone who is listening, sort of thing, I implore you to if you're ever in the southwest of Wales, if you're into any of these types of rides, and to be fair, it's got enough there that even if you're not a massive, roller coaster fan or even just big ride sort of fan, I still think it's a beautiful sort of area just to go to. It's had loads of activities for just if you had little kids to go through and just doing little, it just seemed like a really nice day out sort of thing. I think it had that. It was, everyone there was really, really friendly. It was just like a very. It's one of the nicest sort of parks I've been to. Which, the more that I think about it, the more that I'm like, I would like to go back to it, sort of thing, just for. Well, maybe for just the bobsleigh, because I just love that bobsleigh. So it's fantastic.
Oh, it's good fun. It's a really, really nice park. I actually, I went there quite a few years ago, and the only downside, it hasn't particularly improved. It probably needs like an extra major thrill ride or something like that. But it just seems like this sort of park where I don't want to say it's neglected, but I just think it's one of those things again. Like a little bit of like tender love and care would be amazing for that park, because they do build new attractions, but they probably could improve little bits here and there. But they have
what do you think it needs as a park? Because it's quite an interesting one. Because obviously you could always just say, you just say a massive
hyper, mate.
being a hyper, but within its like realms of what realistically it could spend and that sort of thing, what do you think it needs? Because it has a little bit of everything. This is the thing. It's just I don't know how else to really describe it. Like you have, because you've got quite a modern coaster with speed. You've got the wooden coaster.
Yep, Megaphobia. Yep, good
Yeah.
ride.
What was that one that was in the woods? I can't
Oh,
remember.
there's Treetops, which is like a family slash,
Yeah, which
junior
that
trip.
is a fantastic. That's a fantastic ride
Yep,
as well.
one of those rides where I think you can touch the track at points as well when you're going around from memory.
Brilliant.
Like, yeah, you get really close to it. So the points if you reach up, it's like the clearance is
just,
there. That's
yeah, it's just fantastic. These things. I don't honestly know. It's hard to say what else it needs per se. I think I don't know.
I have a couple of ideas of what they maybe could afford.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the most visited park in Uganda. I think it gets, I'm not 100% sure on the figures, but I remember looking them up when I was doing my review for it, and I think it gets about 500,000 visitors each year or so, give or take. It tends to, it's not, too badly off, but it's not super visited. Probably because it is in the middle of absolute nowhere.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a pain. But so obviously they would need a fairly cheap roller coaster or thrill ride to go in there.
Yeah.
I kind of would see them doing something very similar to what, and it's a park I haven't been to for a long time, but Polton's Park's kind of doing, where they have like lots of family orientated coasters. Like they're building a spinning coaster, for example, which is opening next year now, but would have opened this year normally. That sort of ride would be really good for that park, a spinning coaster.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably not the Mac version of it, the ridiculous like extreme spinner. They're quite expensive, but like a normal spinning ride would be pretty sweet.
Probably something like at Knott's, that Sierra Sidewinder.
Yeah,
something along that ride. I think that would be it. Yeah, that's probably a really good idea, sort of thing. If you sort of maybe just turn it up for Sierra Sidewinder, just to be a little bit more. Just a little bit more, just that a bit bigger as a ride and things like that. I think that's a great idea for a coaster there, because it would be, definitely something different for the park, and it's something just that will amplify the park as well. I think be definitely
for sort of rides, but I reckon they could do with like a highly thrilling like sort of flat ride or something like that. Something like Rush at Fort Park, I reckon would do really well there.
Yes. Yeah. No,
that sort of ride, I think, something which is quite a small footprint, just generally nothing like it in the area. That would go quite nicely. It's a good park though. It's a sort of park where, you want to see it do well and improve.
Definitely.
Which, thankfully, may do in the future. Like there's potential there. Yeah, right, should we move on to the last major park we haven't talked about? So Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which we've got a little bit of an interesting story about thinking Icon was going to be open in good time in early May, and only for it not to be. Not happy about that still.
No, I think you thought it was going to be there.
It was tested in January. Like, what? I didn't think it was even possible it wasn't going to be open. It's just like it was tested for like 4 months. What does that?
I mean, why wait until they announce it when you could just book it and go before it goes then?
It's worked out well on the most part. So, I mean, obviously Icon is probably the best ride in the park. And it's a really fun and enjoyable ride. Really smooth, comfortable. Overall, what the park needed. Other than that, I'm not sure how I feel about like Blackpool. It's a weird one because it's so compact. Like it's so everything's crammed in and stuff like that. And you can just see so much history and like development and where it's going in the future. And there's a lot to be like, oh, this is good fun. But some of it has aged quite poorly. Like I like Blackpool. Just because people are watching, I'm probably going to be like, just like it's probably going to be their favourite theme park. I'm like, they need to demolish everything apart from Icon. It's not what I'm saying.
They've got. It's a weird one with Blackpool because I know sometimes we might sound a little bit negative about these ones, but we do it out of a place of love because all these places we wouldn't go to them. We would flat out just say it's just not worth going to. But there's even with smaller parks and bigger parks, there's normally a reason why we want to go back to them, sort of thing. There's
Brendan
some,
Rodgers would say character.
yeah. There's definitely character with Blackpool. I think that is I think it has that charm which I think a lot of parks don't have. I think it has that. It's got that heritage with it. It does have the. It does. It definitely has, especially now. It has the mix of old and new. But there are. It's a weird one for me because I think the oldest, shall we say, rides in the park, I think are fantastic. The newest rides, I think, are fantastic, and the ones in between need to be looked at. Is my
Pretty
opinion.
much things like Infusion and stuff like that, which is.
I think Infusion just should be demolished. It's one of those things that I hear no one say, yes, that's an awesome ride. It's just kind of like a, sort of
Yeah,
thing,
it looks quite cool. I'll give it that. It looks cool, but yeah, I'm not a fan of SLCs overall. They're pretty average at best. So
yeah.
then obviously we've got something like the big one, which is it's one of those rides where obviously it's still at this moment in time the tallest roller coaster in the UK somehow.
Yeah,
It says a lot for more to UK parks than how
Yeah.
good the big one is.
The big one is for me, it's very, very frustrating because it's pretty much a 2 bookend type ride. The first drop is fantastic on it.
Yeah.
The last part where it's sort of, I think just after you go past the sort of, is it Helix, and then
Yeah, there's a Helix, and then it drives down into a tunnel, which is really cool.
Yes.
Like you're just like, whoa, and then into the Franklin. But those 2 bits are really cool.
Yeah. And everything else in the middle is just... It's a weird one, and because I know this will have definitely a mixed opinion between people, because there are some people that really like the big one.
Yeah, I can understand why you like it. It's not like a truly terrible ride. It's just...
I just think it's very average. It's just it has so much potential. It really does, and I just because I know they've done some work to the tracks to make it some smoother, and in some ways I think that's almost worse because it's just nothing. It's sort of the bit in the middle essentially is a glorified mine train, isn't it?
Yeah, it does have like a distinct lack of airtime, and it's all things. It looks really cool. It's it's not uncomfortable or rough and stuff like that. It's a bit of a product of its time. It was just built probably at just the wrong point by the wrong manufacturer and stuff like that. Where and if it had been built a few years later, it'd have probably got a really, really good roller coaster in its place.
I just think for the layout of it, it feels wasted to me.
It has a reasonable layout. It just executed it pretty averagely.
Well, would you say it is though, sort of thing? Because it's surely the layout of it is the problem with it. Because I think. Because don't get me wrong, I love the fact that it pretty much goes around the whole, well, not the whole park, but it sort of goes around 2/3 of the park, shall we say. It sort of goes around obviously starts at the back, comes round to the side and the front, comes back again, and then obviously round the back again, and then sort of circles in, sort of thing, to the back of it. And I just feel... Because the thing is, I would love it if it just had a load of airtime hills. I honestly think if Blackpool were to do anything, I honestly think they should just redo the big one. Because I think if you have the, because you might have to change slight things and the thing, but you could keep that first drop, have some much bigger airtime hills, so you just get some pops of airtime and things like that. You do the sort of circle round like you do normally anyway, just as a sort of like, no, I don't know, sort of like the transition between the next bit and then the sort of next part of it as you're going through. You could sort of just do bits of banking or just something a bit rather than just essentially going straight down, because it's not even that fast either. So it's just sort of I just think you go, there's not much that happens there, and then you can sort of, just do some little bits with it, just do some type of like, I don't know, like even if it was just little bunny hop hills or something a little bit more exciting almost sort of thing, and then just finish it up as it has been with the helix going through the tunnel, and then just finish it. I just think it'd make it much more an exciting ride, because there's just too many points for me where you just feel like there's not actually anything happening. You're just sort of being transported, essentially.
I kind of agree with that as always. It's more the shape of the airtime hills, which is slightly wrong. So they're effectively like a very shallow triangle, as opposed to like an actual like hill. So they could improve those and probably make a massive difference to the ride. Maybe make some of them slightly smaller. I mean, obviously that's a pretty massive job. So it's one of the things I can't quite see them ever doing that. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised they retract it. Like, I mean, it seems like a bit of a weird one where.
Yeah. I think, like you say, they won't do it. I know they won't do it because it's just not in. The thing is, there's not enough people that don't like the ride, because actually quite a few people do like the ride. So I can understand why. Yeah, because you would think it would be quite a big investment to do anything like that too, and then you haven't really gained enough from it. Yeah. So I do understand the logic behind it, but
they're also spending far too much time redoing Valhalla and stuff like that. So that's their priority at the minute. In fairness, so that's another fantastic water ride and stuff like that. I don't know why in the UK, a place where it's notorious, can't believe I'm going to say this, but for raining and stuff like that. Yeah, I know. We have some of like the best, water rides in the world and stuff like that. It's so strange. Like things like Stormforce 10, obviously Valhalla, like the rapids at Alton Towers. It's classic.
Some good stuff like that.
It's just like, it's one of those things. There's a lot to like and enjoy about Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It's a solid park. Unfortunately, the overall quality of the rides is somewhat low. I mean, I do like the fact with Icon, though, they did start modernising, like, a part of the centre part of the park with it.
Yeah. And
I'm always kind of hoping that they'll continue modernising the park and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, you're hoping that they, for example, sell or scrap, Infusion, go for that. I mean, obviously, I would love them to. This is going to get probably quite a bit of dislike and stuff like that. I love them to see one of their wooden roller coasters. I know they're classics, but I think at some point, you just need to move with the times and improve the park and keep moving forwards.
Yeah,
because with that, they suddenly have a very good lineup.
Yeah, I think because it'd be an interesting one with that type of thing, because you'd sort of go. It's a weird one, because I think probably the better place for it is probably where Grand National is, but that's got more heritage than Big Dipper. But I don't know why I like the Big Dipper more. I think.
Yeah, as a ride, I do actually I prefer the Big Dipper. Yeah. I actually think it would make a better RMC, weirdly, because it's slightly bigger, I think.
Is it?
Slightly. I think it's also in a better position for it.
Well, you've got to remember though, with a with Grand National though, sort of thing, you do have the, obviously we're talking in very much hypotheticals here, but you could, because it's got obviously all that area out the back where it goes to, you've got a lot of potential to sort of move it all out and about, really, sort of thing. So it definitely has. I think it's got more area to sort of, that they can make a better layout maybe from there. I'm not 100% sure whether that's true or not, but it's sort of, that's what it feels like. But I don't know if it's an interesting one. I don't know quite what they're would do there, really. I don't know whether it would work at each place better, sort of thing. But
they could just do both of them. That'll solve it.
Yeah, no, you definitely. I don't know. It's a weird one because I still think they would probably keep Grand National over. It's like if they had to get rid of one, I feel like Big Dipper would be the one that ends up getting the axe.
Or Nickelodeon Street, technically, the other wooden roller coaster.
Yeah, but that's the kids' park, so that's just no fair.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, RMC isn't kids friendly, is it? Pretty sure they can go on it.
Yeah, I don't know, because that's the other thing as well. So obviously, Blackpool's got their biggest problem is the amount of space, sort of thing that we've got. But yeah, I think that's going to be its biggest problem for putting new stuff in is that obviously they don't have any. Well, I don't think they really have any space available. They now have to take out rides to sort of put anything else in. So obviously Infusion seems like the most obvious one to do. But what would you put in that place if it was your choice?
So there's a couple of options. Obviously, it doesn't take up a massive footprint, and obviously Blackpool Pleasure Beach don't have huge finances, being like a family-run park. So I would say probably something like one of the SNS like 4D free spins, like the Joker rides at Six Flags Park. I think that would actually be seeing as there's nothing else in the UK like it. I think that would go really, really well and take up a really small footprint.
Yeah.
Which means you can add other things in and around, like the body of water that Infusion sits on.
Yeah.
Obviously, slightly more adventurous, and that would be obviously one of the Raptors.
Yeah.
Because they aren't super expensive, and I think Blackpool would be okay with the throughput it would operate or give them. Yeah. And obviously, you could just clone it and stuff like the ones that Fiesta Texas and California.
Well, the thing is, you could probably have its own design. It's just the I think, like you say, I think it would be more the Fiesta Texas where the trains are continuously moving.
Yeah, that would work brilliantly. Such a good system, that like it.
Yeah, I think that's a great.
Well, that would be a really good way of just improving the park. I mean, obviously, it'd improve any park pretty much.
Definitely. Yeah, I think. Yeah, because what else would that be your first thing that you would look at changing if you think? Would you change Infusion first, or is there anything else that you think more needs to sort of get going, if you know what I mean, sort of thing? Because if you're saying for a 4D free spin sort of thing, that would fit beautifully probably in the space of the Revolution.
Yeah, that would be a potential idea. I mean, obviously, Revolution is a classic roller coaster, very much like a firm favourite and a good ride actually. We've got quite good drops.
Yeah, surprisingly very good. I really did think it was one of those. It was one of those sort of gimmicky ones, and it is to an extent. But after going on it, it was definitely one of those like, oh wow, this is very impressive actually.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It would definitely probably fit there, it'd actually be really interesting to see if you could maybe squeeze it in elsewhere, because obviously it does take up a very, especially if I can't see them having the world's longest queue line for it either. So, I mean, I'm not sure where you put it really. It's going to be one of those ones with Blackpool. Obviously, they are completely landlocked. Obviously they have a park which is completely jammed full of stuff. Uh, Now, obviously, they did have plans like quite a few years ago to build like effectively a launch coaster, which I went out to see so as a possible idea, which I love. Just like, yep, straight out into the ocean. That would probably work nicely if you can
Yeah,
picture something like King's Car, like going out over from northern England and stuff like that. I'm sure there wouldn't be any problems with the weather, and it would launch over the top every time.
yeah,
It's a really awkward one. My personal thing is Blackpool are, especially with the introduction of Icon, I see that as a step where they're modernising the park, and I actually think they need to. It would be a really good chance to, for example, improve the park, get a higher quality of roller coaster, and I appreciate that it won't be everyone's cup of tea when they start taking out like classic and historic roller coasters and stuff like that. But at some point they're going to have to be removed. You might as well remove it when your park is on top and going places. And I'll put it this way: if you were to, for example, build one of the Raptor coasters and stuff like that, and potentially like one of the 43 spins, and let's just, for argument's sake, also say RMC, one of your coasters or something like that, they probably have one of the best roller coaster lineups in the UK, easily.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Hey, yeah, I definitely think you're right. Obviously, we know that wouldn't happen, and I think just because of, like you say, just because of funding and things like that.
Yeah,
But it's definitely a fantastic. There's definitely, like you say, there's still potential in a lot of what they've got there. It's just the thing of what I think it's going to be very telling what they're going to do next as a park, as a thing, because they definitely I think their charm is definitely still keeping the old and the new. So,
yeah. In fairness, their old rides are what make it a very noteworthy park and stuff like that. So
yes,
you could rip out the soul and heart of the park very easily.
yeah.
But you'd like to think that their new rides would eventually go into that where they're like, it's, just pay homage to them somewhere else, or
yeah. I think they will still keep, because obviously where they've got that ghost train sort of thing like that, which is a fantastic piece of history on there. Obviously, definitely feels dated compared to obviously others, but that's not the point of it. I don't think. I think it's just to show the. I really think it just shows the sort of timeline and the history of just theme parks in general. I think it's just fantastic to sort of see that those rides are still even running now, sort of thing. But literally having a manual braking system is fun. It's just so funny to look at. But, yeah.
Well, with Blackpool pretty much covered, shall we talk about some of the other parks which we haven't been to? As far as I'm aware, there's not many. For example,
let's preface that saying the ones that we haven't that are got major sort of coasters and major things, because obviously there are quite a few coasters in the UK as general, but a lot of them are sort of one or two in a sort of pier type thing, where one's normally a wild mouse and the other one's like a kiddie coaster sort of thing. But what we're talking about is more the either established park or a roller coaster that's still got a lot of history and is noteworthy, shall we say, to go on, sort of thing, like the roller coaster sort of thing. And, where is that? I can't think of it.
Margate.
Margate, yeah, it's definitely one we've got to go on, sort of thing.
Scenic Railway.
Yeah,
It's tempting. So very tempting. The other one is obviously the Ultimate at Lightwater Valley, world's second longest roller coaster, and partly built by British Rail as well, which I love. Just of all the people to build it or part of it. But it does actually look quite good fun. I will be honest, I very much look forward to going on it. In fairness, the park looks like it will probably close down at some point. Not how to oversee the ongoing pandemic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it just looks like one of these places to get to where you still can. And then obviously,
it's a hard one to know with that one, because to me, but obviously we have not been there, but it very much feels like early days Oakwood is what it kind of looks like, in my opinion, sort of thing. It's one of those ones where just because it obviously to get any amount of people in, you need to have that investment in that initial investment to start the people wanting to come there every time, to actually, to spend the money so they can actually reinvest that into the park and things like that. But it just seems like it's been, I don't know whether it's been neglected for that, or it's just bad decisions been made, or what. I'm not really sure, really.
I think it's had a change of owners quite a few times in recent years and stuff like that. It's just one of those parks which just doesn't seem to be getting, continuous funding to improve and invest in. I mean, it still looks like a fairly fun park. Yeah. Like, from what I've heard, the rides, when they, the rides they do have, they actually operate, like, effectively with really good, like, ride cycles and stuff like that. So it actually seems like quite a good park to be at. It's just also one of these other parks, they're all just in that kind of, like, far corner of the UK, all around that kind of, like, York and stuff like that, where they're just kind of out the way of, like, places like London and, like, Birmingham and stuff like that, where it just obviously makes it a little bit more difficult for, like, a lot of people to get to. Yeah. The other one in that sort of area would be, like, something like Fantasy Island, which has, like, a couple of really good, I can't believe I'm going to say it's really good old school Vekoma coasters, where they're just, I know. But outside, apparently also has some really, really good thrill rides and stuff like that. They've, like, it's like, it would actually be potentially a really good part to go to for, like, a little bit of a day at the beach. It's in Skegness, I think, so off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And they're all in that sort of area. And then there's obviously Flamingo Land as well, which actually, weirdly for this list, actually does have quite a few modern coasters. It used to have lots of old kind of, like, effectively, like, semi-permanent coasters, and then they've actually been investing and improving the park, including spending, I believe, and I'm just going to say the figure that I've heard online and stuff like that, which apparently their new roller coaster cost like £22 million or something like that, which is ridiculous for effectively a clone of Colossus at Fort Park. Not sure that's the smartest investment I've ever seen. Building a roller coaster which already exists somewhat, very similar in the UK, and then effectively having it imported. It's not built from the ground up. It's effectively was from some Malaysian / Eastern park and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's that's how much it costs. Apparently, bear in mind you could build an insanely, just unbelievably high quality RMC for that figure. Like, you could effectively probably build something like Irongrazi in the UK or something like that for that amount of money. Just like, it's just ridiculous. Of all the ride types to build, it's just like, I mean, I kind of can't believe it costs quite that much. If it costs like 12 million, I could have been like, yeah, fair enough. You have to, like, ship it over, and obviously you are still paying for it, and so and you have to still build it and install it. So I could kind of half get it, but it does seem like a poor choice from England. I mean, they actually have a fairly good lineup of coasters, but and, like, a few good flat rides as well. So it'd be a quite cool park. I could see it being, like, quite a good ride at the park, but I'm not sure if it's worth the money.
Well, we'll hopefully find out sooner or later.
Yes, it is a park I'd actually really like to go to, even though I think construction has stopped, obviously, during the pandemic. Yeah. They've come quite close to finishing it. So,
well, it's one of those ones that, like you say, hopefully when that's finished, we'll sort of make our way up there to ride those sort of rides, sort of thing. I think it'd be definitely, yeah. I think it will make it worth it, sort of thing. Then, because at least you got like the new ride as such there as well as all the coasters that they've got there. And because it's, because it'd be, I'm very interested to know what it's like as a park, sort of thing, because for a park that has so many roller coasters, it just doesn't seem to be shouted out as much, sort of thing. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know
It's
what you
just,
mean. It has a pretty good and varied selection of roller coasters as well. And from what I've heard, other than one of them, which is Hero, which is the very much like Time Warp at Canada's Wonderland,
yeah,
where apparently it's awful, but all the others seem to be very much liked, and the park itself seems to be pretty appreciated as well. So I don't know if it's just where it is. I don't know if it's just because maybe it's not visited that often. I can't really say, but
yeah,
it's a park which generally, I think they are they are probably making, despite what I've just said about they've probably making the investment in a roller coaster is probably a great decision. I just
yeah,
think they've been slightly ripped off by paying so much for it. I mean, you'd like to think they maybe got loads of other stuff with it, like maybe there's loads of female elements, or maybe there's, for example, like maybe another attraction somewhere they're going to get later down the line. But I mean, the rides you could get with that sort of money is just ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
like that is a just insane figure to come up with, and
yeah,
for what you're building, it's not like it's longer or like vastly different or has like 12 inversions or something like that. It's literally just the same sort of ride as Colossus.
yeah,
Just,
yeah.
I mean,
I think
obviously that figure, that figure could be wrong. It's just I've seen it loads on like the Coaster Force forums and stuff like that, and they
yeah,
tend to be quite accurate with what they're
yeah,
reporting. So
yeah. No, it's an interesting one, I suppose. But I guess the other thing is it might be the type of ride that they were kind of looking for, maybe in their, because sometimes if they've got an idea of what they're looking for, sort of thing, it might be that's where they might have just been railroaded into that coaster in the end, sort of thing. But
it definitely fills a nice gap in their lineup, a multi-inversion kind of
mm,
roller coaster and stuff like. Because they have like a roller coaster, with a really steep drop, a launch coaster, an inverted coaster, and stuff like that. So it does work with the park. It's just I'm not sure if they should have gone with like a different model, because they could have gone for. They still need, for example, a wooden coaster. That would have been perfect for
yeah,
them, like a large scale wooden roller coaster.
yeah.
Voyage Part 2 would be amazing.
And, yeah, I think the only other sort of major one is Polton's Park. I think for
Yeah, I've actually have been to Paulton's Park, but I've literally went there before when the biggest roller coaster, this is going to potentially show a little bit of age, was actually called, I think, the Stinger or something like that. It was effectively like a kid's ride.
right,
Oh my god, yeah, I haven't been there for years. I would have been so tempted to go if like the new land was
yeah,
opening this year, but unfortunately it's been delayed. It's such a shame because
yeah,
it'd have actually been a really cool, like, you know, addition to the park by the looks of it.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty nice park from what I remember. Very, very family, very like, yeah, family orientated, very like just charming and nice overall.
Kind of. I think it's kind of where Drayton Manor could be, sort of thing, if it has, because obviously it has Pomps Park as Peppa Pig's World, and obviously Drayton Manor's got Thomas Land, sort of thing. So you literally could have the same type of structure with it and have a very well-rounded park that sort of can suit all age gaps, really. So I
Yeah,
think it's yeah,
I have to go there as well just next year when they open the new area.
yeah, hopefully. I think the only other one thinking about it where I'd like to go with, but slightly out of the UK, but in Ireland, and was it Tato Land, Tato Park? Is it or Tato Land? Can't remember. I think it's
I
Tato
think
Park.
it's named after a packet of like potato chips you can buy in Ireland. But it has like a really, really good wooden roller coaster, which has an inversion. It doesn't have an inversion at all. But we're in all that, clearly lying fact as like a really highly banked turn. Effectively, it's like 110 degrees, I think, off the very top of my head.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it'd be quite cool. Not sure if I'd go to Ireland to ride it, but it would tempt me a little bit.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's worth it, sort of thing. But not too far away from Dublin, and sort of. I think it's worth it just to go over there, sort of thing. Just another
That solid credit.
Well, yeah, a nice credit, as they say, sort of thing. But I think it's just, I've heard Ireland is supposed to be really nice as a place anyway. I think it'd be nice to sort of go up there anyway to just have a butcher's, I think, sort of thing. I think
have a Guinness.
Dublin's supposed to be nice. Yeah. Oh wow. Well, they do say it's the best place to get it, sort of thing. Just something in the water, as they say. Yeah. But yeah, because there is that one other theme park that's up in Scotland, isn't there?
Yeah, MD's, the one which has gone into administration. The last time I heard it. Yeah.
Oh dear.
I'm not sure if it will be saved as yet. It's still being looked at from when this video is being filmed or when I last read about it, whichever is more accurate. Which is a bit of a shame. Not that I had the greatest roller coaster lineup by the looks of it. It kind of looked a little bit like the Scottish version of Lightwater Valley in some ways, but without the ultimate.
Okay.
That'd be a semi having never been to either park description I go for, so could be completely wrong. Obviously, if you've been to either of them, pop it down in the comments below and we'll a little read through at some point.
Yeah, well, I think that's the other thing. Is there any other parks that we haven't mentioned that we should be looking at going to, sort of thing? Because for the amount of roller coasters that is in the UK, like we said, we haven't actually been to that many as a thing. But it'll be interesting to know if there's any sort of hidden gems of the UK that we're just not aware of, really. So yeah,
we've been far too busy just going across to the US and stuff like that. Just like, I know which one I particularly prefer going on in some ways compared to some of the UK parks, but you can either spend the day at like Fort Park, or you can spend the day at like Cedar Point.
Bit of harsh comparison, to say the least.
That was pretty harsh comparison. I will give you that. That was a bit of a jump.
Yeah, so yeah. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. I think.
As always, thank you for joining us, Jakey. Some pleasure to be here again with you, and hopefully we should have another one of these out in the near future, either a week or two's time. Probably about European parks this time, moving international. So thank you for watching the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content on theme park information. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye for now.